Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video we're going to be talking all about P Diddy once again. Obviously there is a lot going on with this case, and I think it would be interesting to do this video now considering the trial is upcoming in May of 2025. I think that there is going to be a lot of information exposed, and so I just wanted to do a video about people who I think are gonna be going down with P Diddy. So there are allegedly a lot of celebrities that are involved with P Diddy's crimes, and this is a list of the people that I think are going to get in trouble for it. Basically, quick rundown, if you don't know, there was a lawsuit filed against P Diddy by Rodney Jones, aka Little Rod, and he basically unveiled a series of serious allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. Lil Rod is a music producer that worked alongside with P Diddy on his 2023 album, the Love album, Off the Grid. And Lil Rod detailed different allegations against P Diddy during the album's production, including Diddy subjecting him to unwanted sexual advances, including groping and exposure to explicit situations. Lil Rod also claimed that Diddy was attempting to groom him into engaging in sexual activities with other men in the industry, and in return was promising him professional advancement and success. So there's kind of a broad spectrum of things that Diddy is actually being charged for. For one, sex trafficking and sexual assault. But there are a lot of theories as to how this goes deeper and further into what exactly happened in these freak off parties that P Diddy was having. And I just think at this point a lot of things are pointing to not only sexual assault and what they're saying is involving children and essentially human trafficking as well. And it's seeming like it's leaning more towards what we saw with Jeffrey Epstein, which is obviously terrifying. But there are a lot of celebrities who a lot of people conspirize are named in this case or will be named in this case. And I want to talk about the different people and different celebrities that I think are going to go down with P Diddy as well. We're going to start off obvious, Jay-Z, Sean Carter, because he's already on his way. So since this P Diddy lawsuit came into play, there have been talks and connections of Jay-Z's involvement. That has always been a thing and a conspiracy theory, and honestly I believed it, but for the longest time it was just a conspiracy theory. But now Sean Carter is actually being involved in this trial. Essentially, a lawsuit was refiled by a Jane Doe who accused Jay-Z and P Diddy of assaulting her at 13 years old at a VMA's after party. And we talked a bit about this, but it's really interesting because I think that was the number one person that people were pointing fingers towards after this whole P Diddy thing came out. And the fact that it ended up being true, or at least somewhat true, we don't know for sure I guess yet, but like that's kind of scary. I don't like it. I think it's just interesting because like Jay-Z, Diddy, like those names really come into play with like the Illuminati and thoughts on that. And a lot of people think that the Illuminati is protecting like a lot of the other people involved in P Diddy's crimes. I don't know if it's true. I don't even know if the Illuminati is real, but sometimes I do be believing in it. Again, similar to Jeffrey Epstein, people are claiming that Diddy kept a black book of different industry secrets with incriminating evidence, and a lot of people are saying that Jay-Z's name has been thrown around. And now that we're seeing that actually unfold in a legal sense, it's obviously pretty interesting and makes you wonder about the other potential people that have been conspirized to be a part of this Diddy situation that have claimed to not be. It makes you wonder if maybe they are, and that's really scary. It kind of goes to show that a lot of times I feel like where there's smoke, there's fire, and I don't like that. With Jay-Z specifically, he has denied all of these allegations, said that they were blackmail, and I don't know, but I will say, regardless, him and P Diddy were clearly close friends. And I think that's why there has been a lot of speculation on Jay-Z in regards to the P Diddy case, is obviously guilty by association, and that also comes into play with Beyonce. So Beyonce is another person that a lot of people think are going to go down in this case and probably be subpoenaed or have to testify in court of some sort. And I don't know, I think that the reason that that's happening is because of obviously Beyonce is married to Jay-Z. So I think her being married to Sean Carter has definitely instantly kind of put a question mark on her back of wondering if she could be involved or had at least known about these things. One thing that I'll say is interesting is that in the 13-year-old girl's lawsuit, she claimed that there was a female celebrity who was there watching Jay-Z and Diddy take turns abusing her. And it's named as Celebrity B. Now, I think that's because there must have been a Celebrity A somewhere else in the documents. I'm sure it's like it goes just alphabetically. So it's probably a coincidence that Beyonce, I don't know. But Beyonce and Jay-Z have known each other that long. It's definitely possible that she could have been there. But it definitely also could have been a different female celebrity. I'm not saying that Beyonce would subscribe to any of this narrative. But it is definitely a pretty big conspiracy theory that people think that Beyonce is going to also be going down with P Diddy. I just think Jay-Z has been such a douche in so many different ways to Beyonce directly, and I think her publicly like supporting him and backing him, I'm not saying it means that she knew everything that was going on, but it's obviously not a good look, and I do think that she probably will have to testify. Well, she won't be able to testify against her husband, but she'll probably have to testify against Diddy or for Diddy. I don't know. I just think, obviously, with the proximity to Jay-Z and Diddy as well, her and Diddy were also really good friends. So there's technically no proof that Beyonce had attended these freak-offs herself. But to me, it seems pretty clear that Jay-Z was in on that shit. And that's just my opinion. Honestly, this is all alleged, but I have always felt like Jay-Z was definitely a part of it. Beyonce, I don't know if she's like actually participating in the shit. Like, I can't imagine it because obviously the horrific things are so unimaginable. But do I think that she could have known about it? For sure. I mean, I don't know. It's scary to think about, honestly. But I do think that she is definitely going to be a name that comes up in that trial. And according to Jaguar Wright, she has always been saying that the Carters are worse than Diddy himself, and that Beyonce was involved with Aaliyah's death and Jay-Z was involved with Aaliyah's death, and just so on and so forth about different conspiracy theories surrounding the Carters. Again, do I think it's true? I don't know, but what I will say is the Jay-Z stuff does not surprise me. Him being actually added into this in a legal sense is not surprising to me, but it is scary. Like, when I think about it, actually, I'm just like, that's kind of fucking insane. We have thought about it and theorized his involvement with P Diddy's situation, but the fact that we now have legal confirmation that this is something that's actually being taken into consideration is that Jay-Z could have actually been involved with Diddy's crimes. It makes you have to look at every other single person that's on this list, in my opinion. The next person I want to talk about that I'm certain will be mentioned within Diddy's trial is Usher. So Usher, I don't really know how exactly he comes into play here and exactly how much he is guilty for, but there is a lot of strange things when it comes to Usher, because of course when he met Diddy, he was only 14 years old. He was just a kid, and he lived with him as part of his early career mentorship. Like, Diddy was mentoring him, and that's obviously suspicious because we saw Diddy and Usher do that with Justin Bieber later on, and of course there are a lot of allegations that Justin Bieber was abused or being groomed by Diddy and possibly Usher. But what I will say is that I think the fact that Diddy introduced Usher to the industry, if he's not involved with these crimes, I would say he most likely knows about them. And according to a lot of different people in the industry, a lot of different theories, Suge Knight has said this, who is the owner of Death Row Records, or was the owner of Death Row Records. He is incarcerated now, but he has said that everybody knew that Usher and Diddy were hooking up, and then that they did that as well to Justin Bieber. But again, I don't know. It's all allegations. But I do think I would be pretty surprised if he's not implicated in some way in this trial, because Usher seems like the driving force of someone who was introduced to Diddy very early on, and I do feel like he was definitely exposed to a lot of this stuff regardless if he participated in it or not, is all up for speculation. But I do think just because of the close proximity to Diddy, he will definitely be questioned, in the same sense that like when something similarly was going down with Michael Jackson, like during his trial, Macaulay Culkin was subpoenaed to speak about it because he was in close proximity to Michael Jackson, and who was obviously being accused of abusing children, and he was a child at the time. So obviously it makes sense that that would be the case. So based on everything that we know about what P Diddy is being accused of, it makes a lot of sense to me that Usher would be questioned here, because of course it opens a whole other can of worms if Usher was aware or involved with all of the Diddy crimes, because then that opens the door to Justin Bieber and other celebrities that maybe knew things that they didn't say anything or stop it. So again, I do think that I would be pretty surprised if Usher's name goes unmentioned. Another person who a lot of people think is going to be named in these court documents or in the trial itself is Kim Kardashian. I personally don't really think so, but I will say there is a couple things about Kim Kardashian that is a little bit strange when it comes to P Diddy. So for one, and one thing I think is the strangest, is that she unfollowed P Diddy 24 hours before the raid of his house. That's just weird. Convenient, isn't it? Him unfollowing Diddy just 24 hours before this raid is just kind of calculated in my opinion, and definitely has sparked speculation about her awareness of impending legal action. Of course, Kim Kardashian also is into law, like she wants to become a lawyer, so she may have some inside knowledge on everything that's going down with P Diddy. Also, the Kardashians and Diddy have maintained a very friendly public friendship over the years. They've been seen at several events together. All the Kardashians have been seen at Diddy parties. A lot of people think that Kourtney Kardashian is actually even more involved because she was kind of like maybe dating Justin Bieber when he was like way too young. A lot of people think Rain Disick is Justin Bieber's kid. I kind of believe that conspiracy theory. I do. They look so much alike. But also Rain Disick acts so much like Scott, but I don't know. I guess you can act like who you were raised by. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the Kardashians connection, because a lot of people tend to think that this is a big thing. I don't know. I don't know how much I think they're connected. I think they probably just knew more than they probably should have, which again, if they were to subpoena everybody who knew what was going on at Diddy's parties, the list would probably be endless, which is fucking so sad and terrifying. But the same goes for Epstein Island, like the same thing. Like if they were to have everyone testify, that would be impossible because there were probably a lot of fucking witnesses. Do I think the Kardashians could be one of them? Yeah. They're up there in Hollywood, obviously, and they have been seen at Diddy parties. Not freak-offs, but parties. So, is it that far-fetched? I don't know. Another person that I hope is mentioned within this lawsuit is Clive Davis. So Clive Davis, a lot of people claim, including Jaguar Wright, claims that he is the reason that Diddy is the way that he is. It's essentially theorized that what Diddy did to Usher and Justin Bieber was done to him by Clive Davis, and that's how he got to be how he is. So Clive Davis played a pretty big role in the music industry. He managed like Whitney Houston, Diddy, a lot of different things, and he really facilitated the creation of Bad Boy Records. But Clive Davis also has a legacy of allegations that enabling toxic behaviors like prioritizing profitability over the well-being of artists and employees. So is it that far-fetched? I don't think so. And a lot of people have been claiming from the jump that this man is the reason why Diddy is the way that he is. So would he know possibly about what was going on behind closed doors? Potentially. And I think he probably will hopefully be brought up, because a lot of people say that Clive Davis is like one of the top of the totem pole. And that's scary because I don't feel like a lot of people are really talking about him, and I don't like him. The most recent person that has been really brought up in this trial is actually LeBron James, which is kind of random in my opinion. I mean, they've definitely crossed paths multiple times at different high profile events, but I just always assume like athletes and celebrities are kind of in their different lanes, but clearly that's not actually the case. Especially because LeBron James have obviously been a prominent figure for a very long time, but there was a resurfaced Instagram live video from 2020 that has been causing a lot of spark, where he basically enthusiastically says, like, ain't no party like a Diddy party.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so
yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Sure, you've heard it. And obviously some people think he was just alluding to Diddy's actual parties, the things that happened on the surface, not the actual freak-offs that were happening presumably later in the night. But a lot of people do think that LeBron James was referring specifically to the freak-offs. I don't know. I think a lot of people are also talking about this because UFC fighter Colby Covington has been one of the loudest critics of LeBron's association with Diddy, or at least potentially turning a blind eye to everything that Diddy was doing. And he even said, like, I hope you get locked up in the same cell as Diddy. So clearly, I don't know. I will say that I do think the lack of talking about it is strange. LeBron hasn't really mentioned it, but also recently he was absent from a Lakers game due to personal reasons, but also the timing coincided with the height of the news about the Diddy legal trouble coverage. And I do think that now people are trying to toss around his name. And I don't know, I think it's interesting that he maybe is trying to distance himself from the controversy or preparing to address the situation publicly, who knows, but as of right now, he has not said anything publicly or addressed any of the resurfaced comments or his association with Diddy at all. But again, I just don't think it's the best look that, you know, he's being accused of like all of this Diddy connections and he instead just takes time off out of the spotlight, like takes time from the Lakers games. I just think that's weird. This is what Colby Covington had to say about it after the fact. He said, quote, yeah, it's kind of weird, you know. We were all talking the other day at Media Day and I was saying the truth about LeBron, speaking facts. I'm speaking what everybody wants to say, but they're afraid to say that LeBron was saying there's no party like a Diddy party. He's been to multiple Diddy parties. We all want to know how many Diddy parties he's been at. Coincidentally, after I tell you guys the other day at Media Day, all of a sudden he's radio silent. He's taking an indefinite leave and nowhere to be found. Where'd you go, LeBron? Why do you leave? Do you have something to hide? And I think that's a solid question, I will say. Like, it's one thing, like, of course, him being like, there's no party like a Diddy party is not the biggest deal because he could have been just referring to Diddy's actual parties. Like, I agree that the freak-offs were definitely happening, don't get me wrong, but I do think that Diddy was probably also just having Hollywood parties where maybe there wasn't so much crazy, disgusting, disturbing shit going on, just like an average Hollywood party. So could he have been referring to that? Sure. But him taking the leave of absence is just weird as hell. Like, why are you doing that if you're innocent? I don't know. I just think something about it is very strange, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this because I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of celebrities mentioned in this trial. We'll have to like come back to this video in, you know, May of 2025 and see how many of these people were actually subpoenaed or talked about in court. I want to know what you guys think. Are there any other celebrities that I'm missing here? Let me know. Okay, pause, because I filmed this video before Christmas, like before I went home for Christmas. And so there has been new news and there are more celebrities that I want to add to this discussion of who I think will be going down with P Diddy. All right, so firstly, J-Lo. I think Jennifer Lopez might be going down with P Diddy, and a lot of people seem to agree with this. So essentially, J-Lo and Diddy actually dated and had a very high profile and quite tumultuous relationship from 1999 to 2001. Their relationship was extremely publicized. They had professional collaborations, personal controversies between the two of them, and it was just like very public. Everyone knew they were together. In 1999, there was actually an incident at a nightclub on December 27th, 1999, when Jennifer Lopez and Diddy were involved in a nightclub shooting in New York City, and they fled the scene but ended up being arrested later on. Jennifer Lopez's charges were dropped, but Diddy still faced legal proceedings in regards to that specific case. And then this past year, during the FBI raid of Diddy's properties, there were allegedly tapes found of Jennifer Lopez that were allegedly seized by the FBI that included her engaging in some activities that were illegal in said freak-offs. Again, we don't know if this is true for sure, but there also are theories that she is the celebrity, the female celebrity who was named, or unnamed actually, in the lawsuit against Diddy and Jay-Z. There is a lawsuit against Diddy and Jay-Z. We talked about it earlier. In the year 2000, when apparently 13-year-old girl was R-worded by Jay-Z and Diddy while another female celebrity watched. And a lot of people think this female celebrity is actually Jennifer Lopez. And the timelines add up, like they were together at that time. So, I don't know. Again, as of right now, there's nothing like incriminating J-Lo that we know of, but I just definitely think it's an important person to point out here. The next person I think a lot of people have been talking about, and I've talked about it recently, like in a newer video that I had filmed more recently. Does that even make sense? I don't know. This video was filmed a while ago. But Ashton Kutcher, I think, is a big name that we're going to see kind of go down with P Diddy. So I really believe this because I just think it is way too coincidental that Ashton Kutcher runs a company, or ran a company, Thorn, no longer runs it anymore. He and Mila Kunis both stepped down from being CEOs of this company that is basically supporting child SA victims of specifically child trafficking. How are you going to tell me that he was such good friends with P Diddy, who is literally being accused of the things that he was standing against? Is that not weird to anyone else? Like, I don't know how else to put it, but to me, that just rubs me the wrong way. The Ashton Kutcher is this big name who, you know, is doing this great thing and trying to really bring awareness to the situation of child trafficking. And obviously, I think that's great. I thought it was great at the time as well. But do I think it's strange that one of his good friends is outed as a trafficker, like a human trafficking, child SA, all of the terrible things that Ashton Kutcher is standing against? Now one of his pretty close friends is involved in that, like the head leader of that, at least in this Hollywood space that we know of right now. I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird, okay? I feel like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis showed who they are through their support for Danny Masterson. So Danny Masterson was one of their co-stars on That 70s Show, and he was accused and convicted of R-wording and SA. And I just think that them publicly like taking a stance to someone facing those allegations, because obviously at the time it was prior to him being convicted, but when, you know, this whole court proceeding was going on, the fact that they, you know, supported him publicly, and that is pretty insane. And that's why they stepped down from Thorn. It is because they openly supported someone who was convicted of R-wording someone, which is obviously not a good look, considering that's what your company is about. And now the Diddy allegations and the fact that Ashton and Diddy were friends, I don't know. I think it's weird. I definitely think it's weird, but again, a lot of people are claiming that Ashton Kutcher is going to be someone who goes down with P Diddy, and I have to agree. All right, the last person that we're going to talk about is not technically a celebrity, but she works for many major celebrities, and this one's scary, and it's Lou Taylor. So Lou Taylor is a prominent business manager and CEO of TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group. She has worked with several high-profile celebrities, including Sean Diddy Combs, Justin Bieber, Britney Spears, which we'll get into, and just many more. So the reason that Lou Taylor is connected to all of this is not because she just is some random business manager that happened to be Diddy's business manager as well, but it's actually because in Lil Rod's lawsuit against P Diddy, her name was mentioned. Well, sort of. So it was actually more so mentioned that Robin Greenhill, who is an employee of TriStar, acted as Sean Diddy Combs' accountant and was actually responsible for overseeing payments to sex workers. So obviously Lil Rod sparked a lot of these Diddy allegations and lawsuits. He is currently suing Diddy for sexual harassment and drugging, and he said he was told by Diddy that if he didn't participate in these acts, he would no longer be famous, it would hurt his career, etc. And he claims that Robin Greenhill, who again is a close friend of Lou Taylor and works for TriStar, actually had a very central role to facilitating these alleged activities that happened at the Diddy freak-offs. Now, how does this connect back? Okay, so there is quite a connection here because Lou Taylor is actually the person who allegedly got Britney Spears into her conservatorship. She tried to get Courtney Love and Lindsay Lohan in a conservatorship as well, but neither of those worked. Lou Taylor, her sidekick is this Robin Greenhill character who is literally named in the P Diddy lawsuit by Lil Rod. And again, it seems like the TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group feels a bit sketchy overall. For example, it's alleged that Lou Taylor actually stole $600 million from Britney Spears and that Robin Greenhill also allegedly put security cameras all throughout Britney's house to spy on her, and that has been a story since 2021, before she was ever involved with this P. Diddy stuff and before anyone even really knew who she was. And again, Lil Rod claims that Robin Greenhill was the woman who was paying off different women that Diddy was trafficking to keep their mouths shut, and obviously that is very suspicious, and it makes a lot of people wonder if Lou Taylor / Robin Greenhill are somewhat responsible for putting Britney Spears in her conservatorship, and if the reason that that happened is actually because maybe they just knew too much, and it has more to do with not even necessarily P. Diddy, probably just the tip of the iceberg, but the darker stuff that is actually going on in Hollywood, which was human trafficking, child trafficking, all of that stuff. And Lou Taylor tried and say Britney Spears experienced this or saw it happening, and you know, she was friends with Diddy at some point, say she saw this happening and wanted to, you know, tell the truth and say that this was going on and it was crazy and terrible. What better way to make anything that Britney Spears has to say seem illegitimate by making her seem crazy? You know, like they put her in a conservatorship, they did the whole Free Britney movement, everything, and Lou Taylor was literally a part of that. I just think it's strange, but let me know what you think. But that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Like I said, let me know in the comments below if there are any other celebrities that you expect to see in the Diddy trials in this upcoming year. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for the videos every week, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.